Hello, everybody.
I'm here with a friend of mine. He's also a Brazilian teacher, but he teaches English in a funny way with sketches on social medias. I'm gonna let him introduce himself to you. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing just fine. How about yourself?
I'm good. Why did you decide to learn English first and foremost?
It was actually unintended. First, well, I'm Rafael, and thank you very much for opening this space in here for me so that I could talk to your subscribers and everything. It was really nice meeting you, and I'm really grateful that you picked
Likewise.
me for this interview. So thank you very much. So actually, it was unintended. I started learning by myself, but it wasn't because I picked up books and I started reading and studying and everything. It was just playing games. There's a
Mm-hmm.
game. The name is Ragnarok, and I used to play it a lot. I started
Mm-hmm.
in 2004, I guess, or 2005. It was around there, and I played in international servers, so I had to know English so that I could play. Because in this game, you got to talk to people a lot. So my
Mm-hmm.
intention was never really to learn English. It was just that I need to know some of these phrases and words and all that so that I can play, so that I can get to talk to people. And then it
Mm-hmm.
just came like that, to be honest. I never really took classes. And it's a
Wow.
little bit crazy.
So you are definitely self-taught.
Yeah.
And when you decide to become an English teacher?
And it's actually sort of a crazy story because you see, I and my family, we went through a very hard time when I was about 17 or 18. And I was in a job that I really did not like. And I was
Mm-hmm.
fired from that job. I used to work for a sugar mill, and I was fired then. And I needed to find something to do, I needed to find another job.
Mm-hmm.
And so because I had good English, I mean, I thought I did, because there is this one thing that I've always done and I keep on
Mm-hmm.
doing nowadays. That is, I talk to myself a lot, and this helped me a lot with pronunciation and fluency skills and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
I always had very good fluency, but my grammar was flawed. It was bad. So I had already tried to teach English at schools, but it never worked out. And I was living in Mojimirim, that's in the countryside of São Paulo. And then I decided to drop everything and try to go to São Paulo and try my luck. That old story that a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people do. And a lot of people have the story to tell because
Yeah.
they try that too. And so I tried
Mm-hmm.
to be an English teacher in there. And I met some people that worked for a Wise Up branch in Morumbi. And they were the ones that hired me. I was really nervous in the interview because my grammar was really flawed. But it
Mm-hmm.
took me in, which was really, really, really nice. And I'm very grateful
Mm-hmm.
too because of that. And I started learning grammar as I taught. So I picked up books to prepare my classes. And then I was like, oh, so that's why I speak like this. For the
Yeah.
things that I spoke right, lots of things I was like, my God, I always make mistakes in here. And I didn't know this. And
Mm-hmm.
because I had to learn to teach right, then I kind of self-taught, you know.
Awesome.
So this is why I became an English teacher. Then it was just by chance. But then I fell in love with the profession. I fell in love with this area. And it's been
Mm-hmm.
11 years already that I've been teaching. And I really love it. This is my life.
Mm-hmm.
I dedicate my whole life to educating, teaching, and all that. Even learning more. It's never enough, of course.
I identify with you very much on that. How do you come up with the ideas for your videos on social medias? They are really funny.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
It's also a little bit crazy. They come to me usually when I'm sleeping or I'm taking a shower. It's when my
Mm-hmm.
mind is idle, and then something just pops up and I'm like, whoa, this would be a nice video. And then I
Mm-hmm.
just go and I gotta make it fast. So I start the process of shooting and everything. So most of the videos that I make, I don't think about the text before I shoot them.
Mm-hmm.
I just have the idea. I want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about this subject. I want to talk about this topic. And then I just turn on the camera and then I just go, I just talk, whatever
Mm-hmm.
comes to my mind. So it's usually, so it's something that's fast. It's a creative process that's really fast. Sometimes too, I am teaching classes and then I notice that some students of mine, they may have some difficulties, with some specific subject. And I go, this would make a nice video. you know.
Mm-hmm.
For example, just before vacations now, I had a student who was having a hard time pronouncing anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
because anxious and anxiety are very similar words. They carry pretty much the same letters, but the sound of the X is very different. And then she
Mm-hmm.
was having trouble with that. And this video is not even made yet, but it's an idea that I wrote down. And then
Mm-hmm.
whenever I have an insight, like, this is a good way to make this video, then it's going to come out. So, well, this is kind of a spoiler,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but there will be a video about that.
Awesome.
So it's something that came up in class. And then I just thought, why not, you know? Other people may have that difficulty just as well,
Sure.
so might as well.
Yeah. What's your take on non-native English teachers as we are?
Yeah, well, this is polemic, actually. But I would try to be, you know, pretty straightforward.
Of course.
It is, I do respect a lot native English speakers as teachers, and
Mm-hmm.
most of them, lots of them actually, they are very
Mm-hmm.
good.
Mm-hmm.
But there is this one thing that goes for both. It goes for native English speakers and for Brazilians just as well. People who have English as a second language. Knowing English is not enough when it comes to teaching it. You have to know how to teach it. You have to know lots of theory, you know,
Mm-hmm.
about didactics, about
Mm-hmm.
interpersonal relationships and everything, so that you can transmit knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So this is true for both of us, for both natives
Mm-hmm.
and us. But we have an advantage, I would say. They have an advantage, that is, they use English in their daily lives. It's their mother tongue, so they know a lot about it. They know lots of
Mm-hmm.
real expressions that are used instead of the ones that you actually learn in schools and books and everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is nice, but we get to learn that just as well, because we watch a lot of series. We are actually swarmed with a lot of English in our daily lives. Brazil is influenced a lot by American culture. So we learned it. And because we learned it, we know the way that a person needs to take to learn it. I myself, for example, because I taught myself, I had never left the country before I became fluent. You know, I did in 2019, but I had already been a teacher for 9 years. So, but before that, I had never left Brazil. And I suppose I have good English, you know, so I know the way that a Brazilian has to go through to learn the language, you know. So there are lots of tips that we can give that make the learning process easier. Plus, we know where students are coming from. What do I mean by that? For example, false cognates, or sometimes mistakes such as have instead of there is, there are. So have a car in the garage instead of there is a car in the garage. I know why they're making this mistake, and I understand what they're trying to say. So not only do I know what they're trying to say and I get to correct them, you know, but I know the best way to correct them because it was the way that worked with me, you know. So I think that native speakers, they lack this knowledge of where students are coming from. So we have this advantage when it comes to teaching Brazilians, of course, because we know Portuguese as well as we know
Mm-hmm.
English, you know. So, you know, it's when you put it on a scale, when you balance everything, you have advantages on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
But I would stick to Brazilian teachers, you know, at least until a certain point, until you are advanced, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because I think we know shortcuts.
I totally agree with you. We go through the same process that the students go through. So we can identify where the pitfalls are. There are amazing native teachers, but English is spoken more non-natively lately than natively because the whole world speaks English.
Mhm.
The language for business is English, so you speak English anywhere. What would be the advice that you would give a student to get to their goals as fast as they can?
Practice. The secret is practice,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody wants to rush to fluency, and that
Yeah.
just doesn't. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that part of it is because a lot of courses, they try to sell this dream that you can be fluent in a year,
Mm-hmm.
6 months. Some schools sell a course of,
Yeah.
I don't know, 4 months, and they promise fluency.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't happen. You know, theory is not enough. So one thing that I always tell my students is, imagine, for example, you want to learn how to play the guitar, right? And then you take a course, it's only theory, and you don't touch the guitar. But then you study theory for 2 years. And you know all the theory on how to move your fingers, on rhythm, pace, everything, right? And then after 2 years of studying it deeply, you pick up the guitar for the first time. Are you going to play anything? And everybody knows that, yeah, you're not going to play anything because you lack the practice factor, right? So with English is the same thing. So I understand that in a semester, in a year, in a year and a half, perhaps, it is possible for you to acquire a lot of knowledge. It is possible for you to acquire a lot of theory, you know, understand structures and vocabulary and learn new things. Yes. But if you don't practice, you're not getting anywhere. And this practice process takes time. It does take a lot of time. You know, so the more you talk, the more you listen, the more you read and try to interpret texts and all that, the more you understand the language and the more you domain it, the more you grasp it. And so you have the output, you know, that is talk, use it. But it takes practice. That is why a lot of people, they experience this one thing when they're learning that is actually funny. I talk to my students about this too. That is, for example, you're reading a text or a phrase or whatever, and in your mind, if you read it silently, in your mind, you speak perfectly. So I put a sentence in here and you read it without vocalizing it, you know, it's perfect. You will see that your accent is just awesome. But then when you try to say it out loud, it'll be all flawed, all defective, all problematic. But why is that? Because you lack the practice. It's physical. Talking is physical. So your mouth has to get used. Your muscles, they have to get used to that. It's just like learning how to drive. The first time you take the car, you know, and you want to drive around, how do you manage the clutch? For those who don't know, the clutch is the pedal that you have to step on so you can shift gears. So how do you control the clutch? It's too tough, you know, it's terrible, but you will learn it eventually. And after you drive for 2-3 years, the clutch is going to be easy peasy. It's going to be just automatic. Why? Because of muscle memory. Your muscles are going to remember how to control it, how to manage it. You don't have to think about it anymore. So when people when teachers actually tell students that the goal is not to think in English, it is to just go and speak. That's what they're talking about. Muscle memory, you know? So your pronunciation is going to come out just the way that it's going to come out because you said it so many times that now it's right and you don't have to think about it. You don't have to put a lot of effort into speaking. It just comes out, you know? So practice leads to perfection. Now, how do you practice? I talk to myself a lot.
I agree. Do you have a memorable moment?
Yeah, I have a few. I have some that are really good, and I have some that it's not that they're bad, but it's nice because they show my progress. I'm going to tell you about my first class. My first class I got really nervous because I had never taught English before, you know, until that moment. And it was a class. The classroom was improvised, you know, so there were no windows. There were 9 chairs, 9 students. I didn't have a desk or anywhere to leave my book and my markers. So I had my book in one hand and 2 markers, you know, in the other hand. And I was shaking. I was really shaking because I'm anxious, you know. Nowadays I can control it better, but at the time, you know, it was so tough. And then I remember, and it was only adults. And I started teaching really young. I was 21, I think. I'm not sure, 20 or 21. And so this group was only adults. And this put a lot of pressure on me just as well, because I look younger than I am, even nowadays with a beard. But I didn't used to have the beard. I wore my hair long, you know, no beard. And I had this, you know, very childish face. And so I was always afraid that my students would look at me like, who are you? What do you know? to teach us, you know, and it got me really nervous. And
Yeah.
as I was teaching this class, there was this one student. It was a woman. I don't remember her name. She was sitting on the first chair, and she asked me, "Teacher, are you okay? Because you're shaking a lot." And I was like, "No, no, yeah, it just I'm a little bit nervous. It's my first class." And they tranquilized me a lot. You know, they did try to calm me down. They said, "No, it's okay. Relax. You're doing all right." And then I felt comfortable, you know. And then from there on, it was just. But I had some other memorable moments too. Some good ones. Some were crazy. But my God, we have so many stories. I suppose you also do, right? In the classroom, crazy
Yeah,
things
I do.
happen.
I have a lot of stories. I really agree with everything that you're saying, and a movie is going through my head while you are speaking because I went through the same kind of situations. What is the advice that you give a student who is sometimes not so encouraged enough to keep studying English?
Maybe first I'm just gonna make some assumptions. That is, I think that they may have not found a method that is good for them just yet. So keep on looking for another method because learning English is awesome. You know, it's just it's pleasant, it's amazing. But how? Because just that this word study carries a lot of weight in Portuguese, you know, because a lot of people they just it has
Yeah,
a negative connotation. Oh my God, do we really have to study?
yeah.
Not so many people take pleasure, you know, in
Mm-hmm.
studying. And so find a
Mm-hmm.
method that works for you. And when I say works for you, it is find a
Mm-hmm.
method that you find fun, you
Mm-hmm.
know? For example, I don't know, watch movies, watch series of the things that you like. Sitcoms are very easy, you know, they use
Yes.
very easy English. And so, for
Mm-hmm.
example, just, also, and I was going to make a break in here, but be careful not to get frustrated. So, for example, you're going to try to learn English watching series because that's something that you like to do and it's fun for you. But
Mm-hmm.
then you are basic or low intermediate. And what do? You take a show like The Witcher, for example, that uses very specific vocabulary and expressions, and the English is different than the English that we use in our daily
Mm-hmm.
lives. And you watch it with
Mm-hmm.
no subtitles whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get it. And you're going to get frustrated. So you got to be really careful with frustration.
Yes.
Watch the episode first. English, subtitles in Portuguese. Then
Mm-hmm.
you rewatch it without the subtitles or even with the
Mm-hmm.
subtitles in English. You know what's
Yeah.
going on. You're not going to get frustrated. You had your fun watching it the first time. You're going to get to see all the scenes you liked and everything the second time. But the second time around, you will get to learn some language just as well.
Yeah.
So vocabulary and all that. So it is fun.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to like it and it's not going to be frustrating, you know? So try to find something that you like. This series thing is, of
Mm-hmm.
course, just a piece of advice, but it could be with anything.
Yeah.
It could be music. It could be, I don't know, maybe a teacher you like, a school that you like,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
I'm gonna I'm gonna tell you something now. I was laughing while you were talking about it because I remembered how I learned English because I learned English in the late 80s and early 90s.
Same time.
So there wasn't any internet, there wasn't any Netflix. I remember that we had to rent those VHSs to watch the movies in English. I'm a carbon dating person. So when we were trying to watch the movie without the subtitles, we couldn't just turn the subtitles off. So I remember we used X-rays film and we would put it in front of the subtitle, not to be able to see the subtitle.
Oh my God.
That's what we
So
used
much
to
work.
do. Yeah. And when we would like to get a line from a song, for example, from the lyrics of the song, I remember that we would rewind the tapes or rewind the CD at the right moment that we wanted to listen, and we would glue our ears to the speaker to try to understand
Oh
what
my
the
God.
sound was and what the word was. But now in 5 seconds, you can pull up the lyrics and read and see everything that
Yeah,
you
it's
want in
so
any
easy.
language. That's
Yeah, now this
amazing.
technology has made it easier,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Mhm.
How do you see yourself in 10 years?
In 10 years. All
Yeah.
right, I will be 43.
Yeah.
I see myself as a teacher. Definitely, this is the
Mm-hmm.
profession that I chose for life,
Yeah.
so I don't intend, to change that.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope that I will
Mm-hmm.
be big on the internet, TikTok and Instagram and
Mm-hmm.
all that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, I will be not only teaching people in person, which I will
Yeah.
never stop, but
Mm-hmm.
also online. I will be
Yes.
able to reach more people,
Yeah.
and help
Yeah.
as much as possible. I would like to live
Awesome.
in another country too. Who knows? For some time,
Awesome.
I do love Brazil. I love living in
Mm-hmm.
here, but I like to spend a season, maybe. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
In another country, perhaps in 10
Of
years.
course. Of course. And it will happen. We just have to be dream chasers all the time.
Yes,
Now we go to the rapid round game. So my first question for you is teaching English is
fun.
the most beautiful word in English is
Teacher. I'll go with teacher.
if I had to choose another profession besides being an English teacher, I would be
Oh my God. Perhaps a diplomat.
okay. If I could learn a second language, I would learn.
Deutsch.
Awesome. The world now is
Unified, I'd say, more than globalized.
yeah.
And English is, the main thing why that is.
Rafael on Rafael.
I don't want to repeat myself. I was gonna say teacher because but I'm gonna change it, and I'm gonna go to the other way here, that is student. Because even though I am a teacher and I try to transmit as much knowledge as possible,
Mm-hmm.
I understand that I have a lot to learn, and I am always open to change opinions, to learn more, to understand that I don't know enough.
I agree. I totally agree. Now you can ask your questions.
Okay, the first one, I guess I'm gonna go similar to the way you did.
Mm-hmm.
Yourself in 10 years.
Older but wiser. And a teacher on YouTube. I hope.
All right, you already are. Come on. Your experience so far.
My experience so far is that life isn't easy in any way, but it's really worth it.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. How about family then?
Family is my foundation. I'm here for them.
All right, the meaning of YouTube in your life now.
It's a side hustle because, as you said, I love teaching as well. YouTube helps me making new friends and learning from them.
All right, really nice, really nice. The next step.
My next step will be to try to keep improving
All right,
because
there
we
you are.
have to keep evolving in life. We have to keep evolving, you know?
Agreed, agreed. Never stop.
And now I have a sentence, a quote to take away for every guest. And for you is a takeaway. I was observing you speaking today. You think exactly as I thought when I started teaching. You have a lot of things, a lot of tools today that I didn't have before. I was so glad to see you speaking about English with such a passion. You are very talented. You are very eager to learn. And most importantly, you are friendly and you are humble. You
Thank you
know,
very much.
you have teacher delivery. The way you produce things and the passion you talk about English, the way people should do one thing or should do another, it gets to us. So I can tell you that you are really on the right track. Please
Thank you
keep
very
doing the
much.
good job that you are doing right now.
Thank you so much, really. I'm really glad, for your words. I'm really thankful. Thank you.
You are great. Really, really great.
Thank you very much for the kind words. I will. And I promise I'll be back today. I was a bit nervous, I gotta say. It's the first interview ever for me. So, I was nervous. Don't know if you could notice that. But I promise that, for the next ones, any other projects that you may have that I might be back, I will be, better, I
Yeah.
promise.
As we say in Portuguese, Brazilians never give up.
Yes,
right?
we don't.
So this was the funniest guy that I've met in the last few days. Rafael. All his social medias will be in the description below. Thank you, my friend, for being here and doing this interview. See you next week. Thank you. See
Bye,
you.
thank you, everybody.
Hello, it's Rod's friend here, Gino from Real Everyday English. Sorry for interrupting your video. I just want to make a quick recommendation that you subscribe to Rodrigo's channel. He's an amazing guy, he's so humble, he's so dedicated, and he creates absolutely fantastic content. See you people soon. Bye bye, God bless.